Hi everyone, welcome back to the Mind Movement Health Podcast. I'm your host, Kate Boyle, and today on the show, we are chatting about a topic that's close to my heart. But before we dive in, just a shout out to our podcast sponsor, Paleo Valley. If you've been looking for some support for your health, then look no further than Paleo Valley. They have a great range of food and products that are organic and can support your health in a myriad of ways. From their protein powders, I love their vanilla, but their chocolate is great as well. Their vitamin C supplement and their organ complex. As I've said before, I take many of their products and I really find that they make a world of difference to my health. All right, to grab your 15% off coupon, head on over to the podcast show notes. Now, welcome back to another episode. And as I said before, this episode is close to my heart. And it's not because I'm speaking from being a nutritionist or a Pilates instructor or even from being a breathwork facilitator. It's because I'm speaking as a mum. As many of you know, I have two gorgeous daughters, and they're currently 10 and 12, not so far away from being 11 and 13. And I often think, what are the health lessons they're learning from me? It's something that I've been very aware of since they were little. And not from just what I tell them, but from what they see me do, because kids are watching all the time. If you have kids, you know what I mean. They're watching how we speak about our bodies. They're watching how we respond to stressful situations. They're watching what we eat, how we move, whether we're prioritizing our health and sleep, how we talk about aging or talk about our bodies, and whether we celebrate our bodies or we criticize them. They absorb our behavior. And while today's episode is about raising daughters, I actually think that these lessons really apply to every child and every parent out there. Because as parents, grandparents, aunties, teachers, mentors, we all have an opportunity to help shape the next generation. And it's not by perfection, and it's going to be through conversations, through showing, living. These are the things that are going to help the next generation's health. And today I want to share some of those health lessons I hope my daughters carry with them for life. Because my biggest wish isn't simply that they grow up healthy, it's that they grow up trusting their bodies, respecting themselves, and knowing that health is something that helps them live a bigger, better, happier life, not something that makes them feel smaller. Now, health is more than food and exercise. When we talk about health, we often reduce it just to two things: how well do you eat and what exercise do you do? But if you've listened to this podcast or any of my episodes, you'll know that my philosophy when it comes to health is so much broader than that. Health is built through our daily habits. The pillars that I come back to time and time again are movement and nutrition, yes, but also sleep, stress management, breath, connection, and purpose. Because these are the things that not only influence how we live, but also how well we live. And they're also the habits that our kids are quietly learning from us every day. And a big thing that I do want to touch on is what we say about our bodies, because it really does matter. I honestly think that this is one of the biggest gifts that we can pass on rather than burdens. Our daughters hear everything. So if we are saying things like, I feel fat, I need to lose weight, I need to stay away from dessert, even when these comments aren't directed at them, they're still hearing them. And they begin to form their relationship with their body or with food based on that. So instead, I want you to think about, what if they heard, I'm so grateful for this body that has carried me through today. I feel stronger than I did last year. My body deserves nourishing food. I love how I feel after I finish a workout. We can't completely protect our kids from the the messages they're going to receive from other people, from the world in general, those outside influences like the news or social media or friends. But we can make sure that home is a place where they learn a positive story, and we can help reinforce that. So then that gives them more confidence when they go out into the world and they're hearing conflicting messages, that they have the confidence to stand up against those messages and not take them on board. Because I think that's harder to do now more than ever with devices and things like social media and that so many people are influenced by. And one thing that I've learned as a mum is that children, if you listen to them, they will tell you everything that's on their mind. Some can talk and talk. One of my daughters is definitely a talker. And often it's when you least expect it. So for me, it's usually when we're in the car, it's just me and my daughter. I'm focusing on the road and she's sitting in the passenger seat. And maybe it's because it doesn't feel like there's a lot of pressure. I'm focusing on the road, the radio's on in the background. It's a shared space, but it's amazing what can come out in a 5-minute drive. So my encouragement is create opportunities for conversations. Don't rush to solve every problem. I think sometimes they just want to be listened to. They just want to be heard. They just want to vent about something. But you can learn a lot about what's happening in their life, how they're feeling, by the way that they talk to you. And if they're doing this with you, it means that they feel safe. They're trusting you with this information. And when they feel safe, they will open up more. And you may be listening and going, this is really hard. It doesn't just happen when I get in the car. And it won't happen straight away. Again, it takes time to build that up. But having those conversations, they may get into the car and you might say, how was your day? And they say, good. And that's all you get for them. And then you can change the topic and then put some music on. And then they might come out with something else. Or they might not. And that's okay too. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of time to build that safe space. Now, the other thing that I want to mention is around movement. And one of the things that I'm really trying to do, especially with my daughters, that I've been very conscious of since they were born, is to help them to learn and respect their bodies. To think that movement is great. It's great for their body and that they enjoy it. It's not a punishment because they've eaten too many calories or they need to burn more calories. Food shouldn't be about guilt and rest shouldn't be about feeling lazy. It's really helping them to put movement and health in a positive light. For someone like me who has definitely experienced an eating disorder when I was younger and had very negative feelings and spoke very negatively about my body, I've had to work very hard to get rid of those habits myself because I didn't want my girls growing up with those views and hearing that coming from me. Because I was not looking after myself and I was not speaking to myself very nicely at all. And if I heard anybody speaking to anybody else that way, I would have been mortified. And again, if you've ever experienced any type of eating disorder, it can be very paralyzing. It can make you feel very stuck. These are my own personal experiences. Everybody is very different. And it's very hard to break that mindset. And no one's perfect. Some days I still don't have great thoughts about my body, but I'm very conscious about not voicing it. And I do try to reframe it as positively as I can for my benefit, but also for my girls' benefit too. So creating that body positivity, talking about how food fuels our body, and that exercise is something that we do because we love our bodies and we want them to function really well. We don't want to get sick as often. We don't want to feel like we have pain. We also talk about how breath can help us regulate our nervous system, that we can just slow down a little bit, and that sometimes we just need a rest. Even at the minute, it's been school holidays. And we're a family that can be very busy. We like going out and doing activities, but I build in some rest and recovery days. And I say to the girls, it's all right. We're just going to have a rest day today. This is when you can chill out, read, draw, write, go for a walk with our dog Gizmo, but just feel like that you can relax and just have a bit of downtime before feeling like you need to do something else. And I think this is really healthy too, especially when we're getting those ideas or those voices that they say, oh, I feel bored. It's okay to be bored as well. This is where we want to be okay with these things and learn that we can entertain ourselves. Maybe we do need to do a puzzle, write a story, whatever it may be. There are lots of things for us to do. And I think in this day and age, feeling bored is one of those things that kids don't often do because they straight away reach for an iPad or the computer and they play a game or they watch a movie or go on socials. So part of that rest and recovery is okay as well and is definitely needed. Now, the other thing that we have a chat about sometimes is building a healthy relationship with stress because life can be really stressful. We can't remove stress, but we can definitely teach our kids how to better deal with stress when it comes up. We have tools like breathwork and meditation. They're not always easy, but I teach my kids that they can just do a couple of slow, deep breaths. Just close their eyes or go outside. That's another one that I love to do. If they're saying, oh, this is just getting too much, I'm like, okay, take a break. Let's go outside, get some sunshine, take Gizmo for a walk. So getting out to nature can be really beneficial too. And I love to highlight these to them that these are not just a one-off things. These are like little tools that we have in our toolkit that we can pull out before a test, before they go onto stage because they dance, take a few deep breaths. Before you want to yell at your sister, take a few deep breaths. So these are kind of the life skills that we can build and help. And again, we're still working on them ourselves. No one's ever perfect. But whether or not it is taking a pause, slowly breathing, getting outside, whatever your jam is, leaning into them, using that more, your kids will see you do that. Even if they're not thinking it themselves, they will see you do that and they will adopt those tools as well. So I wanted to just share 3 simple habits that can help to build lifelong help. And if you're a mum, if you're an auntie, if you're a grandma, just try these 3 things or just one of these things with your kids in the next week and see how you go. Now, the first one is to go for a walk together. I want you to leave the phones at home, walk side by side, because nature has a beautiful way of making conversations flow naturally. Some of the best chats don't have when you're sitting across the table, as I said before. They can happen in the car. For us, it's also when we take our dog for a walk. They happen while you're just walking because you feel relaxed, you feel safe, and again, the conversation will flow. So that's a great way just to start to build that connection with your daughter. The second one is to cook something together. So maybe you bake a cake. Maybe you make dinner and you let them chop the veggies up or go pick the herbs out from the garden. Experiment. Talk about food and how it nourishes the body instead of talking about restriction or dieting. These moments that we can create around food, again, in that safe environment, can be really positive for our food interaction for our daughters as they're growing up. And then finally, practice just 1 to 2 minutes of calm together. So again, sit quietly, take some slow deep breaths, maybe do some stretches. You could lie on the floor. Just help them understand that finding calm can be very simple. It doesn't have to be super hard. They don't have to do lots of different things. They could simply just take a few slow deep breaths. They could close their eyes, they could lie on the floor, they could do a couple of stretches, but see if it's something that you can do together and see how they react afterwards. I'll often just be like with my daughters, if they're having a fight, I'll be like, okay, stop, slow down, just take a couple of nice deep breaths with me, and then you can tell me what you're going to tell me. I'm sure I'm one of those annoying parents, but I think it all adds up and helps. So I hope when my girls grow up that they won't remember every piece of nutrition advice I've given them. They probably won't remember any of the Pilates exercises we've done together. But I do hope they remember how they felt around me. And I hope that they remember that they felt safe enough to tell me about what's going on at school and the things that they need to get off their chest. And I hope they remember that our house was a safe place, that movement was fun, that we shared meals together, that we really understood the necessity of rest, that conversations and mistakes were welcome and totally okay because that's how we learn, and that we always knew how to laugh together because it's not about perfection. It's really about feeling safe, loved, and connected. And as an adult or a child, who doesn't want to feel that? So as we wrap up, I think it's really important to remember that as mums or parents, we're never going to get everything right. I certainly don't. But every day we have another opportunity to model the habits we hope our children will carry into adulthood. Our daughters don't need perfect mothers. They just need mums that are going to show them that health is about living fully, about caring deeply and treating themselves with kindness. And if this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with another mum or another parent, someone that's helping to raise the next generation, because the healthier we become, the healthier our kids have the chance to become as well. So thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast, and I'll see you again next week on the show.